Okay, so how do we make a data store on Roblox Studio that can save multiple values, such as like this one, coins, and this one, XP, right? This is supposed to be XP, but whatever. Okay, even though it doesn't look like it. So let's say you want to save multiple values for the player. So maybe the player would have amount of coins and amount of experience, I guess. Or it can be anything. It can be more. It can be more than two. It can be more. It can be like 100. Maybe, probably not, but for example, like rebirths, the amount of rebirths the player has, the amount of gems, I guess, alongside with coins. So maybe, so basically, if you want to make multiple stats for the player in Roblox and you want to save them, how can you do that? So today we're going to be doing that. So in our previous videos, we made a data store service, data store type tutorial. We've saved one value, but how can we make more than one? Or how can we save more than one? So I explained how we actually do this. So this is our data store, and if it's a bit confusing, you should probably watch my previous video on this because I kind of explained this, but I'm gonna explain it briefly anyways. So this is our data store. So local data store equals game.getService data store service. So this is service, the data store service, and when we get the service, we do data, and data equals data store get data store stats. So we get a data store, we make a new data store, and we're gonna name it stats. All right. So now we finish that, we're gonna make a player added event. So when a player joins, player added connect, we connect this to a function, and the parameter for that function will be the player that joined. So we name it player, or whatever. You can make it you can name it however you want to. And when you do, we make a leader stats folder. So this is a folder that appears in the player list, right? This is why we call it leader stats. And make sure you actually type this correctly, by the way. It has to be exactly like this. So what we did, instance new dot folder or instance dot new folder, right? We make a new folder. We named it leader stats, and we put this under the player. And when we make this a leader stats, so we made, for example, we made coins. This is our first value for our first stat for the player. And we made a new number value, right? We named the I guess we named the coins, I guess, right? Because it's coins. And we put this under leader stats. We parent it under leader stats. So let's say the player joins and he wants to get the player's saved values inside his stats, or you want to save or load his saved stats. So we will do two values. Actually, before we do that, we want to make another value, right? Because that's the point of the tutorial. So let's make, okay, hold on. Actually, let's do, okay, remove this. We'll do XP, right? Since we want to make XP. Make a new number value, another number value. We'll do XP. Okay, sorry, this is wrong. Okay, XP dot name equals XP, and we'll do XP dot parent equal leader stats. Same thing. And the leader stats is basically a folder that the player has, and it will appear on the players. I mean, the player list. If you're on PC, you'll know what it is, right? It's on the corner. You'll see all the players on it. Okay, so now we have both of these values, both of these stats on the leader stats folder. Now we want to say load them into the game when the player joins. Right, this is when the player joins. So what I want to do is do data. So this is our data store, right? As you can see, data get a sync, get get a sync. I can't spell. Get a sync, then brackets. So players, this is the player that joined. Dot user ID, because a user ID of the player is unique to the player, right? And it doesn't change. So this is why we do it user ID instead of name, right? Because because you can change your name on Roblox, okay? Meanwhile, user ID, this is a unique key that doesn't change ever. So this is why we want to save it into that key of the player. And then we can do dot coins, so we can differentiate to what we're saving. So for this one, we do coins because we know this is where our coins will be saved. This is when we know our coins will be saved in when we say that coins is. Hold a second. First, let's make a variable just so I can explain to you better. And local XP. Right. So these are two variables we defined. So we'll do coins equals data get a sync player.user ID and coins. So we know that when we say coins, we know this is what we're saving, and I'll show you how we actually know what we're saving. So then we do XP. I'll actually do this under, but whatever. XP equals, we already defined XP, and the same exact thing, except we're gonna change this a bit, and we're gonna name it. We're gonna change the key to XP. So dot dot and string value, we concatenate this to a string value, right? So we know this is XP we're saving. So when we say coins, we know that we're saving this coins, and when we say XP, we know we're saving XP. All right. So now we got both of these values, right? Now we want to I guess we want to add them to the player stat, I guess you could say, right? Now we want to know if the player actually has played the game before. So we do if coins doesn't equal to 0, meaning if it's not 0, so if there is saved value behind in the coins, right? Then coins or we should do player dot leader stats dot coins dot value. These are coins value inside the player, and we do equals to the amount of coins that have been saved. Okay, make another if statement. We can basically copy this, but whatever, copy and paste if you want. Then we do instead of coins, we do XP. So if XP is not equal to 0, meaning if it's more than 0, basically, then player.leaderstats.xp, that value would be equal to the amount of XP that have been saved, which is this right here. This is the amount of XP that have been saved that we got from the data store. So I think that should be it right now for when the player joins. Now we want to save the amount of coins that the player has when he leaves. So we will do player, or it's not player, sorry, game that players that player removing, right? Make sure it's player removing. I know I made that mistake. I know I'm so stupid. Anyways, forget about that. Player removing and connect, right? Connect function. And again, we have player as the parameter. Okay, as you can see. So again, the player removing connect function player. We'll make a pcall function. A pcall function is basically like a function that it helps. It doesn't really fix the so if there's an error, right, it won't really fix the error, but it will contain the error inside, so it won't break the entire script in entirety. Anyways, so local success. So this is the pcall function, local success, error message, whatever, I don't care, equal pcall function, right? Okay, enter. And then we'll do, okay, so when we get the local pcall function, we can now use the data store function, which is the set async. So we do data again. This is the data store that we made, remember? Set async. It's very similar to get async, but said this is when the player leaves. So for the parameter, we'll do player.user ID. Again, same thing. Dot dot. So first we do coins. We save the coins. Make sure you type it exactly how you did before. And actually, you can really name this to anything you want, by the way. So you can name it to whatever you want. So coins, gems, whatever. And then you'll do comma a player dot leader stats dot coins dot value, because this is what we are saving, right? So when I said we're gonna save this inside this key right here, we know we're saving the coins right inside this key. So when we get coins, we know that it's the amount of coins that the player had before in the last game when the player left, right? So this is right before the player leaves, right? So we're getting all their coins, we're storing it inside this key. Oh, I hope I didn't do something wrong. Anyways, if that makes sense. So when the player, right before the player leaves, we get this value right here, and we store it inside this key right here, as you can see, and we name this to, and we get that when we get the value that have been saved, we store it inside the coins variable, and so we can add it to the player's value when the player joins again. Okay, do the same exact thing for the XP. So player.xp. Okay, we change the key to XP, so this is the key that we're using, right? We can do really anything, to be honest, anything you want. And then you will, yeah, I think that should be it. Then last thing, if error message. So if there's an error, this is the variable that we made. Then one error. All right. So I think that should be it. So just a brief overview. When the player joins the game, you have the leader stats, the coins inside the leader stats, and the XP also in the leader stats. These are all the stats. So coins and XP these are the stats. And the leader stats is a folder, by the way. It's not a stat, but okay, whatever. Okay, so we define the two stats that we have, which is coins and XP. Coins is the value that have been saved as coins. XP is the value that have been saved as XP, the XP value of the player. So if the player has coins that has been saved, then we will set the value to the amount of coins that have been saved last game, in the game that the player has joined last time, right? And same thing with XP. If the player has XP that have been saved, we set it to the XP that have been saved into the player's data store, I guess. But whatever, I mean, that's kind of confusing, but whatever. Okay, the player that have been, so there's a sync to the player, right? And the player has data that has been stored. So then we do game that the player removing. So this is when the player leaves, it will basically save. So local success error message precall function, and then we do data set async. So set async. So we set the data store, I guess you could say. I don't know, not really data store, but we set async. It's basically async, not really a data store. It's basically async. So sync to the player. So player.user ID, right? Make sure it's a user ID, not player by itself. So player.user. I don't know, I made that mistake so many times, I don't know why. And then we store this into the coins key, this key right here, which is the coins, because we know, so we want to know what value this is, right? We know, so we know this is the coins that we're saving, and we do the player.leaderstat, the coins that value, because this is essentially what we're saving, right? This is essentially what we're saying, and we do the same exact thing. Do the same exact thing for the XP. Player.user ID dot contact this to XP key. This is our key, so we know this is the key. And a player.leaderstat XP that value. And if there's error message, we are known by that. Okay, so let's see if this works. Now I made two different things. Now I'm not going to show you how you can do it. I mean, this is the script right here, so I mean it's pretty simple. It's not something hard. But if you want to know I mean, I explain how you can make that. But this is my previous video I made. Yeah. So if you want to know how you can make something like this, you probably go on my previous video. I made it somewhere sometime, but it was pretty old. Anyways, let's test this anyways. Okay, well, I had XP, but let's forget about this. This was the last time. I tested it so badly. Okay, well, so we got one XP. XP is not available. Oh, sorry. Quick error. Let me change this. So this is XP value. XP rename this. Okay, that was a typo because I submitted an exact recording before, and it was terrible, so I'm just redoing it. Yeah, please don't make fun of me anyways. Okay, well, so we get the coin. Okay, so we have an XP, we have an extra XP, and we have more coins. I'm not sure why I didn't add. That's weird. Okay, let's rejoin now. We're left, and now we're gonna be joining again. And now we have 2 XP. So if you hold on, yeah. So if you enjoyed this video, if you found this helpful, you should probably subscribe and comment down what you want next. Like what I mean, if you want something more, if you want something more complex, I think that's okay as long as I can do it. But if you want more, you should probably subscribe, right? And like the video. Definitely like the video because it helps a lot. And today I will be jumping off the base plate. Goodbye.